the whole idea of technology is that it's very hard to determine what's right or wrong in the first place. I suppose
That's
when the
right.
internet first came about, I'm pretty sure there was condemnation of, like
Scams.
pornographies, don't
Yeah.
censor that.
Yeah.
Prawns and things like that, scams. But I mean, I think in a general, on a scale, I think it's done more good than harm, lah. Hey guys, welcome back to DeFiRL, your wormhole from TradFi to DeFi. In today's video, we're going to talk about crypto and how it's actually going to war.
And of course, guys, as usual, now what we say should be taken as financial advice. If you need that sort of thing, please speak to a pro. Now, before we begin, just to let you know, if you want to learn how you can earn 19 to 20% in the crypto world, nearly risk-free through this thing called Anchor Protocol, you need to download our free ebook, which you can find in the comment section or the description.
So as of the time of this recording, March 3rd, 2022, we are facing probably the first time in our living lives, right? A direct invasion of a country, Ukraine.
Of that size, yeah.
Of that size, and by Russia. And we're going to talk a little bit about how crypto actually has played a significant role in what's been going on through this crisis over the past week or so. But first of all, right, MJ, I just want to ask you, could you give us a lay of the land of what's actually happening in Russia and Ukraine?
Right. So a few days ago, Russia decided to mobilize 200,000 troops to invade Ukraine. Obviously, this is well, maybe not obvious to some of you, but if you guys didn't know, this is the largest war since the end of World War II. So that's a nice 70-odd years since the big war. And the motivation for this happening is because, at least from the Russian point of view, they are doing the invading. Is that NATO over time, since the fall of the Soviet Union, which was the old name for Russia, has been adding members into this club, right? For those of you who don't know, NATO is a military organization that is co-led by Europe and the United States. And in the past, countries like, Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, and they were formerly from the Soviet Union, even East Germany, right? Over the past 50, 60 years, they have slowly become more aligned to the West, which is in this case is NATO. So how this is being seen by Putin, or I think any concerned Russian president or prime minister, would be that they are losing a lot of what they call their buffer zones. In the past, the Soviet Union had a lot of these buffer zones to protect themselves against what they deem are enemies. In this case, would be the West. And if you look historically, Russia has always been a very insecure country, meaning to say that they are very invadable. Their country, the Moscow area and all that, are very flat, which means it's very easy for, in the past, horses and troops, and today it's tanks and whatnot. Their history is filled with big, powerful armies invading them. World War II, Napoleon. If you go even further, you're talking about the Mongolians, right?
Yeah, so it's always been very invadable in that sense.
Correct. And so today, the Napoleon equivalent would be NATO. I'm not saying NATO is like Napoleon. I'm saying from the Russian point of view, that's what they're thinking.
Okay.
So
Ukraine
is the biggest state that if NATO overtakes, they will literally be on the doorsteps of Russia.
So it's very geopolitically strategic for them to position themselves against Russia.
Correct. And there's a lot of other things like the Sevastopol port, which is in Crimea. There's also a lot of things like how if they can control Ukraine, they are able to build a lot more gas pipelines, which is the largest part of the Russian economy. But the issue is this, it was never an issue before 2014 because Ukraine was either neutral or pro-Russia, so Russia didn't really care. It's just that since 2014, there was that revolution, I can't remember what it was called. The change of government resulted in Ukraine becoming a lot more pro-NATO. And it doesn't help that NATO is also like encouraging them and saying things like, look, if people want to pick NATO over Russia, if a country wants to pick NATO over Russia,
They should have the right to do
they
so.
should have the right to do so. To someone like Putin or Russia is irrelevant. They are a country that is very insecure. Make no mistake, this invasion is not a show of strength. This is an admission. It is an admission of weakness because they are a declining population. They only rely on oil and gas. They don't have any other. Basically, Russia is a very weak nation economically that has a lot of nuclear bombs. The only thing that is measurable or considerable about the country is their army and the oil and gas reserves and economy. And then now NATO is right on their doorstep. So that is the whole context of, yeah, and a lot of it has to do with also Ukraine becoming a lot more pro-NATO. And so, that's why the minute in 2014, Putin annexed Crimea so that he can gain access, among other things, to Sevastopol, which is a very important port, because for most ports in Russia, it is cold, so it's ice. So if everything's frozen, your port is useless. Sevastopol is the only port year-round. It's not frozen. And of course, there are also pro-Russian forces in Ukraine wanting to reconnect back to Russia. And so that's why Putin is doing what he's doing.
Okay.
So that's the context.
Nice. Well, 30,000-foot view of actually what's happening now. And situations just getting more and more dire, more and more complex as we speak, right? And as we speak, 3rd of January, the last I heard was the Russian troops are actually advancing into Kiev, and that's where the capital of Ukraine is. So
that's right.
Things might change. A lot of what we say here may just be the tip of the iceberg of how things are actually. But we're going to talk about how crypto has been crypto has not existed in the previous few wars or the previous large conflicts until this one. So honestly, I think we are living through history. This is going to be written in history books for our kids, for generations to come, right?
And let's talk about crypto in the next segment and how this is affecting the war right now.
Okay. So if you didn't already know, we at DeFiRL actually have a Telegram chat where we share everything and anything related to crypto, especially a lot of this alpha sharing, which of course is not financial advice, but of course, if you want to gain access to this alpha, we will leave the link to the Telegram group in the description and the comment section below.
All right, Brad. So I think one of the big things that has happened in terms of crypto when it comes to this war is the spike in the number of big wallets, big Bitcoin wallets as a result. And so there is a hint, a theory, a conspiracy maybe that people are in Russia, maybe Ukraine, are trying to get their money out through Bitcoin. So what are your thoughts?
So I'll share a chart here later. You guys can have a look that the number of wallets holding more than 1,000 Bitcoin has actually spiked. So there's a lot of theories behind why this is. Some people actually say it's just exchanges trying to rebalance their positions and whatnot. But there's also a theory saying that perhaps it is a way of a lot of these Russian oligarchs. And oligarchs essentially mean people who are extremely rich or kind of related to Putin, right?
And powerful,
Trying to move their ruble, which is the native currency of Russia, away into what has always been supposed to be a permissionless, safe store of value in Bitcoin. And if you see the chart, there's a large spike on the right. It's a very recent spike, only immediately after the Ukrainian crisis. So I think this is very significant because Bitcoin has always been viewed as a store of value or a hedge against crisis or inflation, right? But during COVID, when COVID hit, was it March 2020, the stock market tanked along with crypto as well. So people were generalizing, saying that Bitcoin failed to do what it's supposed to do as a hedge against crisis or hedge against our fiat currency losing its value. But right now, after this crisis, initially on a very short time frame, of course, Bitcoin dropped from I think close to its 40K, 41K resistance, support, all the way to about 35, 36K. And same goes to the Nasdaq as well, the tech index in the US. But since this recent spike in Bitcoin purchase and interest, the price of Bitcoin is now hovering around 44K. That's an easy my maths is right, about 30% gain since it's 2 weeks ago during the Ukrainian crisis. So that's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is this is going to be the next few weeks, especially as a lot of Ukrainians who are trying to get their funds out of a financial system that might very likely going to be defunct, right? Going to be destroyed in Ukraine, out of the country. And also probably Russians who never wanted to be part of this war, getting their money from the ruble, which is now tanking drastically, out of their country into a safe haven asset. Right. Do you want to talk about? We want to talk about also the donations that's happening.
Yeah, I think one thing that is also now that's more of a neutral kind of news. I think more, yeah, depending on which side you're on, but you know, the more positive one is that I think there's a relief effort essentially to donate money to the refugees and the victims of the Ukrainian war.
Our chat here, Gabe has donated $100 to Ukraine.
Yeah, now I feel bad, right, for not doing anything. But then again, it's Ethereum, so expensive. So, but anyway, So what is happening is that people are donating. You know, I think there's 3 currencies, right? Bitcoin, Polkadot,
came first.
and Ethereum. Right, these are 3 big ones. So I think within like less than a day, they raised like $6 million, something like that. I'm not sure what is it now. Probably a lot bigger. And so I think this is one case where, you know, really, really quickly, you don't even need to have a GoFundMe page, you know, it's even faster than GoFundMe. It's literally, all right, guys, I am, you know, so-and-so, I want to donate money to the Ukrainians, here's the wallet, send your money, and, you know, and that's it. The only thing I would question is, okay, look, how are we checking that the money is being received by the Ukrainians? You know, a lot of people in crypto have a lot of trust.
But I suppose with it being an open ledger, we can see whether the money gets there. How the money is actually being spent, right? Which should be interesting to see how it actually expands over the next few days.
Because the value of the donation has to come off chain. Otherwise, if it's on chain, then like you can't buy food with digital bits, right? It has to be in fiat, unfortunately, right now. So yeah, that is one positive thing about and you know, just you know, this whole video is about showing how, you know, we call it crypto goes to war, but really what it is how crypto is helping people in the war, good or bad, right? So, for example, the oligarchs, right? I think this is proof that the accusation from the non-crypto or anti-crypto people that is used by crooks to siphon money out. It's true, but at the same time, you can get good as well, which is people donating money.
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, if you're what I'm reading online is on forums is Ukrainians donating money to their relatives who are stuck in Ukraine through Ethereum, through Bitcoin, through even Polkadot recently, right?
Yeah.
And even the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, has publicly...
Who is Russian, right?
He's Russian, for one, and he's been seen with Putin before in several occasions, right? He came out publicly saying that Ethereum is neutral, but he is not. And he is strongly against this invasion of Ukraine as well. So, I mean, I just want to add, right, that, it is... The whole idea of technology is that it's very hard to determine what's right or wrong in the first place. I suppose when the internet first came about, I'm pretty sure there was condemnation of, you know, like
scams,
pornographies, don't censor that. Prawns and things like that, scams. But I mean, I think in a general, on a scale, I think it's done more good than harm. I mean, on a, of course, biased perspective from mine.
No, I think technology, just like crypto and all that, it's a tool, right? It's no different from a knife, right? Like you can use it to chop vegetables or to kill people. And really, it's the people who are using it, right? Like it's the same thing with like Bitcoin, right? It is something that people can use to escape authorities, to commit crimes or all that. But it also can be used for, you know, saving a loved one or paying for the medical expenses in a much quicker way. So it's how you use it at the end of the day. It's just a tech, right?
I think one last thing we want to add is with any crisis, even during COVID, that's when you see crypto adoption, more money coming in and crypto actually goes up in value. And right now, its actual utility actually being driven up through this crisis. And my personal prediction, if I may, is to expect governments around the world to come in quick and hard and swift with some form of regulations. And
Yeah.
that's especially if they can play the narrative of, now Russians and Russian oligarchs can easily bypass this swift financial system ban by just using crypto. We cannot let this be. And I think that's a narrative that I'm going to be looking at, and potentially it might shake the markets. Not financial advice, of course, it's just a thesis that I built upon for myself. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a test, right, of a theoretical discussion now becoming more realistic, where, look, is Bitcoin good for the world in that respect, right? I mean, there are so many other aspects of Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this other DeFi stuff, but specifically for dealing with, criminals, international criminals, that is going to be one of the biggest things that I will be looking out for, because this has to operate with regulations, because it doesn't really matter what revolutionary tech you introduce into civilization. Societies still need to operate on rules, people need to obey the rules, and people need to find a way to enforce the rules. And anything that disables people to enforce these rules will be not just frowned upon by regulators, it will be frowned upon by the society as well. Because laws just don't exist. Laws are not there because some guy decided to say this is the law. Laws are there because everyone agrees this is a bad idea, and it's worth giving up freedoms. It is worth using force to get it right. And so that is the interesting question. I don't think there's an answer right now.
Yeah.
The only benefit that Bitcoin has is that you are able to trace the money flow a lot easier compared to in the past. Maybe you have to look through papers and whatnot. But I'm sure because it is on-chain, it will also produce its own difficulties, right? Because you have mixer wallets and all that. And, this is just a new problem for the new age to solve.
Exactly. I mean, what's most certain is we are right now going away from just cryptocurrency being a medium of exchange for JPEGs and like me sending money to you sending money to me for shits and giggles. I think we are definitely going beyond that, progressing way faster now with this crisis, like it or not. And I, for one, am going to personally donate a bit of money to Ukraine.
Yeah.
I want to do that. Some Ethereum spare in my MetaMask and get it done, get it used properly. And yeah, anything else you want to add?
Nope, all good.
Okay.
All right, guys, this is the end of the video. Thanks for staying all the way. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. And of course, when you subscribe, also click on the notification bell so that whenever new videos come out, you will know immediately. And we will see you in the next video.